Good evening, Titan Nations. Welcome to another edition of Titans in Truth. I'm your man, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. In the absence of my wonderful and beautiful tag team partner, Miss Truth Hurts Wembley. We got quite a little bit to get to on today's edition of Titans in Truth, and I hate that it's not a winning, possibly playoff edition of Titans in Truth, but we did have a game that we have to definitely recap and talk a little bit about. So let's get right into that. Basically, this particular game against the Jaguars, I know everybody's had nightmares about it, myself included. This was indeed the nightmare before Christmas. And the Titans lose 38-17 to the Jacksonville Jaguars in interim coach Doug Marrone's first game as coach of the Jaguars. And, basically, this game was an unmitigated disaster from beginning to end. Anything and everything that could go wrong in this game did. Everything. The offense didn't play well. The defense didn't play well. Probably throw special teams probably didn't play well either. So really, nobody did well at all in this game. And let me tell you exactly what I'm talking about. First off, our third league best running game, DeMarco Murray only had 42 yards on 14 carries. Derrick Henry only had 13 yards on 4 carries. And mainly because we were falling so far behind, we had to pretty much abandon the running game. And have to try to pass quite a bit, which that didn't really do us any good either. Marcus seemed to be off on a lot of throws. He only went 8 for 20 for 99 yards. So these last 3 weeks have been probably some of the worst football he's played. And the last 2 weeks I would have said it was because of the defense you were facing. But in this particular game, they just basically got their butts kicked. They got their butts handed to them. The Jaguars basically said, you guys embarrassed us on national TV about a month ago. We're going to return the favor. And they did just that. They jumped out on us from the beginning. And I think one bad decision that was made by Coach Malarkey was deferring to the second half. You would rather get the ball first and really be able to make a statement off the bat. But we did not do that. We deferred, and Blake Bortles shredded our defense to pieces all day to the tune of 325 yards. And he had a touchdown to Allen Robertson on that first drive. So, it was a horrible, horrible day for everybody involved. And so the first drive, Blake Bortles surprisingly went down the field with no problem, little resistance. And, of course, our secondary being just horrible, being terrible, just reared its ugly head this time. It covered up for the last 2 weeks, but not this time. And this basically says that John Robinson has to make fixing the secondary probably the top priority of the offseason. This secondary is just pitiful. Jason McCourty was already out for this game. LaShawn Sims, he did okay, but then he got knocked out, so right now he's in concussion protocol. And, of course, Bryce McCain not really doing too well. And last but not least, of course, Antoine Fake Blake just is showing why he is probably the worst player on this team. And in the game today, I could have said a lot of guys were terrible. But, Antoine Blake has been horrible all year long. And The fact that he's on a 1-year deal, I pray to the football gods that John Robinson does not re-sign this guy. I think Dick LeBeau has to realize this kid's just not cutting it. He's not going to cut it. He's terrible. He's horrible in coverage. He doesn't tackle well. He doesn't read very well with the receiver. And it's been like that all year. And so when you have a defensive backfield, when you put out Blake, Sims, and McCain, that is a recipe for trouble. Sims, I think, could be okay. McCain and Blake, absolutely not. They cannot be on this team next year. Denoris Searcy didn't really do anything. I haven't really noticed him much all year. Same with Rashard Johnson. I haven't really noticed neither one of those guys all year, except for when Rashard Johnson recovered the fumble against Denver, but that was another game. Didn't really notice him in this one. So defensively it was bad. The linebackers were not very good either in stopping the run. And we never got a pass rush. So, I mean, we never got the rush to passer. Orakpo and Morgan were shut out. Casey was held up. And, I mean, that's supposed to be one of the strengths of our defense. And it just did not come to form at all in this game. Now, on the offensive side, again, Marcus just seemed to be off. There were a lot of throws that were off with his receivers. He did not read his progressions well. And I think the pressure of this game got not only to him but to the whole team. Because it seemed like everybody was just trying a little bit too hard and was just not following the game plan. Now, I don't know if it was the players themselves or it was also Robisky's horrible play calling, which that's another subject we're going to get to in just a minute. But it was something, and as I saw some film and saw a couple of pictures of some of the throws, it just told me Marcus was off. And he also did not read very well. He was trying to force it in places that were just not there. There was a play in particular, he was trying to go deep to Rashard Matthews. And, you know, it went right out of his reach. I know if he let him a little bit further, it may have come down with it. But at the same time, there was a hitch off to his left past the first down marker to Tajay Sharp. That would have been a first down if he threw it there. And on the other side, I believe it was Kendall Wright who had ran a comeback route past the first down marker. Both of those plays were open right when Marcus threw the ball. So if he sees them, those are first downs, keeps the drive going. Another play was he tried to go deep on a cross post to Harry Douglas, and he made Douglas have to kind of come back and stop in stride and come back to the football. If he leads him a little bit further, that's a touchdown. That is a touchdown catch. But it was off, it was behind, and it gave the defenders a chance to come back to the ball to make a stop and even possibly pick it off. But thank God that didn't happen. But all in all, Marcus was off. The running game just did not get going at all. The offensive line probably had their worst output of the season in this game. They surrendered 3 sacks, and unfortunately in the third quarter was one of the worst plays because, you know, Marcus got hurt. Had a fractured right fibula in his leg, and they had to put an air cast on him and to cart him off, which if you ever see a cart come out, you know it's not good. You know it is very, very bad. And that ended up putting him out. He's obviously going to be done for the rest of the season. Will not be able to play in this game against Houston. And thank goodness, good news is, in North Carolina, he had successful surgery on his leg. And timetable for return is about 4 to 5 months. And so that'll give him the entire off season to recover, to test out the knee and the leg and make sure everything is together before OTAs. So he should be able to return for OTAs and mini camps and training camp, which is good news. We need him back at 100% and not a percentage less. He has to be at 100% to go for 2017. But that also means that we have to hand the reins over to Matt Castle. And in all honesty, I just don't really have a lot of confidence in him going into this game against Houston. But when Marcus went down with, as I said earlier, that was with everything that could possibly go wrong. Did you lose? What happened with the Titans? You lose the game, you lose your shot at the playoffs, and you lost your quarterback all in the same game. Everything went to crap in this game. And when Marcus went down, I just, people around me could tell, I just said, there goes our season right there. There goes our season. There goes our playoff hopes right there on Marcus Mariota. And, of course, we still could have shot the wild card, but Houston ended up winning, so they won the division. And Miami beat Buffalo to get their 10th win. So now, of course, you have to have 10 wins just to get a wild card spot. And we will only be able to finish with 9. So all in all, it was a very rough day for Titan Nation. And it was indeed a nightmare before Christmas. And they kind of left a lot of us with lumps of coal to really go on for the rest of this season, for this last game. Unfortunate loss, but they just did not come out ready. I don't know if they thought they had this game won. I guess they were maybe looking ahead to Houston. I don't think they were doing that, but they just did not come out focused or prepared. And I guess they maybe thought, this is the same old Jags. We should be able to beat these guys with no problem. Jacksonville taught you a lesson. Never overlook any opponent. You got to be focused on any opponent, no matter what the record is. So that's about all I got to say about that. I had my anger. I was angry. I was frustrated about everything. I had my little sip of liquor to kind of get over it, and I still kind of am, but it is what it is, and we just got to keep going and look forward to the future. With that being said, now we come to our Star of the Week and Dunce of the Day nominations. And, as far as the Star of the Week is concerned, there's not really many nominees for this particular award for Star of the Week, because everything went bad and nobody really performed well. But a couple of nominees I had out there was Rashard Matthews, who caught a touchdown pass from Marcus. Delaney Walker caught a touchdown pass from Matt Castle in this game. And it looked like it was 25-17 at that point. And we really could have made a comeback. But, of course, there was some other stuff that happened, which we're about to get to as far as the dunce of the day that may have cost us this game. But the guy that I choose as the winner would be Rashard Matthews. Rashard Matthews, once again, will be the two-tone blue Star of the Week. And the reason I give him this award, he has just exceeded expectations. He's had his career high in catches. He has over 800 yards receiving. Would have came close to 1,000 yards if he had probably gotten off to a good start early in the year. But then with the Miami game going on, he has really stepped up. 8 touchdown catches on the season, which is the most since Kenny Britt back in 2011 had 8 touchdown catches for a receiver. So that is a major props to Rashard Matthews on the season he has had. Now to the dunce. Now it's time to name our dunce of the day. And believe me, there are plenty of nominations to go around for this particular award. You could look at the offensive line giving up 3 sacks, getting Mariota hurt. You could say DeMarco Murray not having a good running game, good day running the ball. Terry Robisky basically trying to use those pass to set up the run, which is out of our character. Also, you can look at the secondary. Antoine Fakey Blake, who got abused again by Allen Robinson to the tune of 9 catches, 147 yards. He kind of abused everybody in this game. But my dunce of the day has to go to Wesley Woodyard. And this is why. Wesley Woodyard was having a pretty decent second half of the year up to this point. But he had a boneheaded play. It was 3rd and 14. The Jags were trying to set up a screen pass. It did not develop well. Blake Bortles basically threw it into the ground and just gave up on it. And so at this point, you're thinking, okay, Jaguars finna punt the football. We're down 8. We get the ball back. We're down 8 at this point. We could get the ball back and be able to make a run. Now, I don't know if Marcus would have scored at this point. I think this was right before Marcus got hurt. But it was 28-7. I believe it was 28-17 or 25-10 at this point. And then you could have marched down the field and really made this a ball game. But instead, Wesley Woodyard was in a scuffle with an offensive lineman. And then instead of just letting go and walking away and getting off the field, preparing for the punt and getting the ball back, he decides to be stupid and just grab the face mask, get all up in the guy's face, and basically try to get a few last words in. Referee throws the flag. It's an easy call. Unsportsmanlike conduct, you get 15 yards. So instead of being off the field and the Titans getting the ball back, bang, you give up 3 more points. You gave up 3 more points. Now it's 25-10. Instead of it being 22-10, we could score and really try to make this a game and give us a chance to win. So that was a selfish, dumb penalty that ended up changing the game. And so instead of punting the ball, maybe in field position, the Jags get new sense of life. First down, march down the field, get a field goal. Just a terrible play. Dunce of the day, Wesley Woodyard. And that is an easy one to choose on that one. But now it comes time for my favorite part of the show. It is time for you, the fans of Titan Nation, to pick my brain. So, last week I didn't really have a lot of questions. This week I got a few good ones. And here we go from that. First I want to give a shout out to Zachary Gippert on Titan Fans for Life. Hi, what's up with you, Zach? He basically asked, with the playoffs out of the picture, in my honest opinion, I say we let Derrick Henry start and get a full game's rep. What do you think? Repping here in Colorado. Well, what's up to you in Boulder Canyon up there in Colorado, up in Denver, basically the Mile High State. I hope you're enjoying everything with the show. To answer that question, I could see where Derrick Henry starts. I would probably say I would, play DeMarco Murray if he wants to play and wants to finish the season a little bit strong. I would start DeMarco Murray if he wants to play at least for about the first half, maybe just the first quarter. Get him a few reps, and then from the second quarter on, I would go Derrick Henry the rest of the way. But that's not a bad idea to just go ahead, sit DeMarco Murray. I mean, this game doesn't mean anything. You do have a chance to finish with a winning record and maybe finish on a high note. But I would say if Derrick Henry does not start, which I think I would lean towards starting DeMarco Murray, but I think Derrick Henry should get the bulk of the carries. I think Derrick Henry should get about 20, maybe 25 carries in this game. And let's see what we have a little bit further with him. So I would say start Murray, then bring in Derrick Henry for about the second quarter on, and let DeMarco Murray rest for the rest of the game. And it really depends on how the game is going. If it looks like it's getting out of hand, then just sit DeMarco Murray the rest of the game. Derrick Henry comes in. So that's my thoughts on that. But thank you for the question, Zach, on that. And now I have a few other questions that I'm about to get to. And one comes from my fraternity brother, Mr. Adrian Martin. What's up with you? He gave me really 4 good questions. And so he first said, who are the starting corners? Jason McCourty, Sims, or both? Right now, I would say it depends on I think Jason McCourty will not play in this game coming up. It probably won't make sense for him to play. We really should see what we have with our younger players. I'm scared to say this, but I think the starters are probably going to be, for this game, Blake, Sims, Fakey Blake, Sims, and McCain in the slot. I hate saying that. I think that's horrible. But I think for this game, that's what's going to happen. Jason McCourty, I don't know if he'll be the starting corner next season. I think he's really lost a step. I think either they restructure his contract and they try to play him as safety, or they just going to let him walk. And I honestly am leaning towards, as much as I love Jason McCourty and got respect for him for everything he's done for this team and for this city, it's time to head in a new direction. J-Mac may have to go. And I think LaShawn Sims has the potential to be a starter. I think he should audition for a starting spot, or at least play in the slot. And it depends on what we do in free agency, whether getting a corner in free agency and a corner in the draft, which I think that's the direction we should go with that. So that'll be more to come as far as where I think they'll go in free agency and in the draft. But that's just my thought on that. Second question you asked, Adrian, was who gets more credit for the offensive surge this year? Terry Robisky or DeMarco Murray? I would have to go with DeMarco Murray. I mean, because I think, you know, we got an offensive line built. Great job by John Robinson. John is an awesome John, as Jared Stillman would say on 102.5. He is an awesome John. Fixed the offensive line. Got DeMarco Murray here. Gave him a new sense of life. DeMarco Murray has rushed for more yards this season than the last Titan backs put together for the last couple of years. I mean, last year, Antonio Andrews was our leading rusher, and he barely got to 500 yards. We haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher in about 5 years until now. And so now we have a 1,000-yard rusher. We're about to see DeMarco Murray hit 1,300 yards on the year, which is very, very good. Robisky, I just couldn't give him much credit. I think that was Malarkey's plan as far as running the football. I mean, there were games where Terry Robisky made some good calls, but there were also a lot of games where you really question what in the world was Terry Robisky calling, what was he thinking, maybe being a little bit too cute. But that's just my honest opinion on that. What are our top 3 strengths of the Tennessee Titan team, excluding the running game? Now, that is a very good question. I would have to say, excluding the running game, maybe I would say the offensive line. I know that is pretty much part of the running game, but it is also a strength as far as the pass game. Marcus Mariota played in 15 games. Last year, he only played 12. This year, he played 3 more games than he did last year and was sacked almost 15 times less than he was last year. Last year, he was sacked 38 times in 12 games. This year, he was only sacked 24 times in 15 games. So the offensive line did a great job. Jack Conklin, well worth the pick at 8. Taylor Lewan, of course, going to the Pro Bowl. I think this is the offensive line we need to have going into 2017. Don't make any changes. Another strength is, I would say, our defensive line. With Jarrell Casey, with Brian Orakpo, Derek Morgan having a career year with 9 sacks. Orakpo, of course, had 11 sacks. Casey, of course, another trip to the Pro Bowl going on for him. And I think Angelo Blackson has showed up. Carl Klug had a nice season before he went down. And I would say the only things we really need to work on, maybe at nose tackle, because I don't really know about Al Woods. Because I think Austin Johnson has come in and did okay and has learned the ropes. And we really need to see about somebody opposite Jarrell Casey, because Daquan Jones, I never really noticed at all this season. I never really noticed him being a factor in the game. And so I think we could work on that. But I would say defensive line is one of our strong positions. And then last but not least, I would say the strongest one I think would be the coach. I think we may have the right coach in Mike Mularkey. He's really instilled a tough first run first football mentality that people did not think would work in this day and age, but it has worked beautifully, and it has really turned this team around with John Robinson's help, of course. So those are my three strengths: offensive line, defensive line, and head coach Mike Mularkey. And last but not least, he said, do you believe the Titans are a playoff team, or did this team just overachieve and make things interesting down the stretch? Now, in most instances, I would say we very much overachieved because we only won 3 games last year and we ended up winning 8. We have won 5 more games than we did last year, and we've won 3 more games than the last 2 seasons combined. So I would say we overachieved, but definitely overachieved for the better. I really did believe that they were a playoff team because for the weather that we're having now and for the playoffs, you got to be able to run the football to really be successful in the playoffs. And that's something that we have. We have the quarterback. We got a solid running game, a good offensive line that really could have been successful in the playoffs. And we probably could have won a playoff game. Maybe could have gotten to the AFC Championship if that ended up being against the Patriots. But we won't ever know that just yet. But I would say, yes, they are a playoff team. And they didn't overachieve. They overachieved a little bit, but I think they would still been a playoff team, in my honest opinion. And I'm definitely thinking next year we will make the playoffs and go forward with that. But those are just the questions that I had for Pick Your Brain. I'm going to try to see if there is one more maybe that I did not get before, but it looks like I had all the questions from that. And so now, let's do a quick, very, very quick look ahead. I know we got the Houston Texans coming in on Sunday. I know this is going to be a hard game for a lot of people to even go to and watch because our playoff dreams and our season kind of went down the tubes in Jacksonville. But, this game, this is a game where the Titans could really use this game to release a lot of frustration, a lot of anger that they had against Jacksonville. Take it out on Houston. Get after Tom Savage. Definitely do some damage. Get after, take care of DeAndre Hopkins. Make sure that these Houston Texans, the Jags left a sour taste in our mouth, left us a lump of coal. Let's do the same thing to the Texans for them going into the playoffs. They don't go into the playoffs with any momentum. I think we can ruin their trip to the playoffs by a victory here because momentum is important in the playoffs. And if you don't go into the playoffs with any momentum, you could be susceptible to defeat. And it looks like the Texans are either going to be playing the Raiders or the Chiefs. And I think both of those teams were successful against the Texans earlier this year. So, it would be nice to see Houston lose 2 in a row and get kicked out of the playoffs. But I think that's a game where you got to try to finish with a winning record, finish on a high note, go out, show your fans that, you know what, I know we failed y'all making the playoffs, but you stuck with us. We got 8 wins, and we're going to go further going into next season. So that'd be a good thing to do there. And that's what I think will happen. I really don't want to put a prediction on this game, but I'm just hoping for a Titans win on that and, really try to go out on a high note. And I don't really have a blue bombshell to drop except just letting everybody know, hey, you can reach me again on Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe to the page on YouTube under my name, Christopher Newell, Titans and Truth. After this game, next week we will have a season in review episode, which may be a little bit longer than our normal episodes, but we'll be able to review the season that was and maybe give a little bit of a preview of what can happen going into the off season. I'll have, of course, an off-season show as well as an off-season preview talking about what I think we should do in free agency and maybe have a little small, and I say small, draft board of my top maybe 10 to 20 players I could see being Titans for this year's upcoming draft. But on behalf of Miss Truth Hurts herself, my name is Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. Look for me, subscribe, and we are out. Good season, y'all. Finish on a high note. Get to 9-7, 6-win improvement. Good night, y'all. I'll let y'all soon.